In December 2018, a woman received a mysterious email. It claimed that her 15-year-old son, Eli, was behind the theft of $24 million. In her eyes, he had always been a model teenager. But after sharing the contents of the email with Eli himself, she realized her son was one of the world's biggest cybercriminals. This is the story of 15-year-old Eli, who managed to steal $24 million in a single evening. But most interestingly, after all the trials and investigations, he remained unpunished. Eli was born in 2003 in New York City. His parents were immigrants from Russia. When Eli was about 10 years old, they moved to the suburb of Irvington, away from high housing prices in New York City. Els was a diligent student and played on the soccer team, and in his free time, he loved to spend time on his Xbox. For 11 days in 2016, he was playing Call of Duty, as usual. For him, the entertainment wasn't the game itself, but the voice chat, which allowed him to call people names and swear at them with impunity. But after yet another exchange of pleasantries, one player returned and asked, "Bro, how's the weather in Irvington?" Alice froze, not out of fear, but out of curiosity. How could someone know where he lived, and could he find out the same about others? Another player explained to him that there were programs that could reveal IP addresses of incoming network signals. In fact, such programs are quite simple to use, but for Alice, it was a game changer. At first, he used these programs to intimidate opponents and his friends. Little did he know, what had started as a hobby would completely change his life. A few months later, Alice stumbled upon OG Users, a forum filled with hacking guides and hacker groups. There, people used the internet not for entertainment, but to make money. Ellis took down a hacker group that was stealing usernames from Instagram and Twitter. They would log into the site and insert malicious code, thereby gaining partial access to the site's servers, and then steal the desired account. The rarer the incident, the more the buyer paid. The logic was simple. For example, if you have a username called John, every John in the world would want it, and someone would be willing to pay thousands, even tens of thousands, of dollars for it. Short usernames and usernames denoting nouns were also particularly valuable, as their supply was limited. Of course, most of the usernames he stole were worth a couple $1,000s at best, but sometimes he managed to steal very expensive ones. For example, on Twitter, he stole a username and kept it for himself. It could be worth tens, perhaps hundreds of thousands of dollars. However, there was one problem with this method. Alice wanted more. When $1,000 for a username stopped seeming out of the ordinary, he stumbled upon SIM-sapping, a method hackers use to make millions of dollars. The gist of it was this. A hacker calls a company that provides phone services and SIM cards. Then they bribe a company employee, usually for a couple $100, and the employee links the victim's phone number to the hackers. Now the hacker can reset the victim's passwords and request two-factor authentication codes, ultimately taking over the accounts linked to the victim's phone number, banks, emails, and social media. The method emerged in 2016 when two-factor authentication via phone number first became available. Therefore, SIM-sapping wasn't popular, but it was considered relatively easy to implement, which made it appealing to Alice. A couple of months later, a member of his hacker group, going by the name Harry, wrote to Alice and suggested everyone swap Michael Turpin, a crypto billionaire who could have millions of dollars in crypto wallets and bank accounts. Turpin had already been the target of all the swaps, so they needed to not only hack him, but do it at a time when he wouldn't expect it. They needed a meticulously thought-out plan. On January 7, 2018, the evening Michael Turpin was scheduled to speak at a crypto forum. Ellis called a contact at AT&T to gain access to Turpin's SIM card. After successfully spoofing his phone number and hacking his emails, Ellis and Harry ran a script that searched all his emails for passwords. In one of the emails, they found an email with a text document titled KISS, which contained several keys to Turpin's crypto wallets. Although Turpin later denied it, one of these wallets contained 900 million in Ether. The Ellis were unable to steal it because the wallet required an additional password. Having collected all the coins from available wallets, they had 3 million coins, a trigger of 10% of all coins in circulation, for a total value of $24 million. A sum that would have been enough to satisfy all their desires and whims. But they knew their work wasn't yet complete. Since the trigger coins could be deactivated and were difficult to launder, they needed to exchange them for bitcoins. At that point, the only way to exchange them was through